right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the 2024-25 annual Heritage Hills Spring Concert with everybody. I call this the start to finish concert because you get to see everybody. These behind me, this is the combined North Spencer Elementary School beginner band. All sixth graders all started this year. We usually start end of September into early October, and we just get as far as we can. So it's always a surprise on how far we get, and it's also to show my sixth grade parents here that yes, in fact, you do start to recognize some notes. You do start to recognize some music. It does get better, I promise. Okay, so just stick with us. I promise it is worth it. So our beginner band behind us, just so you know how this works, they have band twice a week at their respective schools. I get to travel to each elementary school, and I co-teach with Miss Clee and Miss Jones one day a week for one of the band classes, and then the other class, I'm not there. I can't be in all the places at once. I wish I could, but I can't. So just a rundown for the night. We will go pretty much in order that's on your program. I did not list out the individual lines we would be playing out of their beginner books because until recently we weren't quite sure what it was. We had to experiment a little bit and figure out what we thought would be the best fit. So I will tell you that we're going to be playing 4 different lines, and then we'll move on to the middle school band, and you'll get to see the combined middle school 7th and 8th grade band. We do have, the 4th piece is going to be a 8th grade only with a couple of 7th graders who wanted an extra challenge. And then we have a cool treat for you guys. We have our second concert for our jazz band this year, and then we even have a percussion ensemble to kickstart the high school section. And then we'll have some high school band, and then we'll get you out of here because it's going to be a fun-filled night full of music and all that good stuff. But and for those that know me, I am pretty forgetful. I will try to remember to do that with each group. Forgive me if I don't. Just say, hey, I need my picture before we start. We'll get you taken care of. All right. Without further ado, I think it's time. You ready, 6th grade? No? I think that sounded like a holy moly. Please help. It's going to be great. See, there we go. All right. And these are 4 lines from our beginner book. school help, we were able to move chairs around, not too slowly, but it was good. So we have behind me, this is the combined 7th and 8th grade band. It is massive. We have 57 band members between 7th and 8th grade, which is absolutely fantastic. So, plot twist here, we actually have more middle school band members than we have high school band members, which is kind of strange to say, but it's a great problem to have, because that means hopefully the high school group is going to continue to grow. It's going to be awesome. So this group, 7th and 8th grade, they do meet in 2 separate classes, and luckily our school here, our middle school principals have been very flexible and have allowed us to steal the 8th grade class a couple times leading into the concert. So it's not the first time they've played together as a group for this concert, but the 3rd. So we are seasoned veterans at this point. So, and just to kind of show the difference here, raise your hand if you are a 7th grader. All right, hands down. Raise your hand if you're an 8th grader. So we have quite a few, and it makes me really excited to say that we have 27 8th graders, and 20 of them are moving into high school band. So that's fantastic. All right, so our first piece is going to be Night Fury by Carol Britton Chambers. So as I give my percussion time to switch equipment, because they have 1,000 things to play back there, I'm just going to pass time, because that's what I do awkwardly. So next piece up, I think that was enough time, they're standing still. So next piece is a classic. It's one of my favorite middle school band pieces of all time. It's called The Bottom Line. Yeah, so that one is just fun, right? You get to clap, which is not your normal instrument. All sorts of cool stuff. We got all these cool low brass lines moving around. It reminds me a lot of like early beginner level jazz stuff. It's just a lot of fun to play and listen to. So as we're moving into our third piece coming up is called Dark Star, and it is another pretty high energy piece. And yeah, hope you like this one. Thank you. So we're going to have lots of movement on this one. Our fourth piece is something, my 8th graders wanted something a little more challenging. So I was like, okay, we can do that. So I picked a piece that I thought was too hard for them, and we tried to learn it. So we do have a few 7th graders that are sticking around because they're gluttons for punishment and wanted to try to play the 8th grade only piece. So if you see any of your 7th graders sticking up here, it's because they wanted a little bit of an extra challenge. So I should have done this beforehand, but how about one more round of applause for our 7th graders who are taking. All right, so this piece coming up is called Angel Echoes, and it is going to it experiments with higher notes in our woodwinds, and it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of work to really make some of these notes work as intended. So we might get some weird squeaks and squawks, but hey, that's part of the process. So this is our 8th grade with a few 7th graders. How many 7th graders stuck around? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you guys for sticking around. You guys are troopers. We got 4 back here. All right. I'm seeing some of our 7th graders come back in through. So we're trying to find our families there so we can get together and hear the rest of the concert. So I think our percussion is about ready to go. And we do have fewer percussionists in 8th grade. So we actually have Tyler filling in back there on one. And actually the previous piece, we had a high schooler, Nate, who filled in for a girl who was shooting in archery today. I believe it was over in Louisville for nationals, ? So I've heard that all of our people so far have done really great. So good job for our archery team, wherever they are. All right, so here we go. Here's the Angel Echoes. So cross your fingers, and here we go. operation here. Just ignore the mess on the side of the stage. It is okay. The cool stuff is over here on this side. So we have a jazz band class here. We don't have it every year, but it kind of pops in and goes as schedules get worked around a little bit. And we were lucky enough to have one this year. So at the beginning of the year, none of the people on stage had been in a jazz band, and it's a smaller group, as you can tell. So actually, I do get to play with this group a little bit. So don't let my trumpet fool you. I'm actually playing a tenor saxophone part because we have enough trumpets to fill the other trumpet parts. So it's a time when I get to cut back and play some music with the kids too, instead of just flap my arms around and say, "Hey, you sound bad, get better." So we have 3 pieces, and the first one that you're going to hear is called Work Song. The second one is called Out of the Doghouse. And then the third one is called Pyramid Power. And all 3 of these are just pieces you can listen to, and if you start feeling it, just give us a little nod. So those that have never been to a jazz performance before, if you hear something that you like, or something you think is cool, or someone played a cool solo, this is not something that you have to wait to the end of the piece to clap for. If any one of them plays a solo you think is really awesome, or you just want to support them and doing their thing, clap for them after their solo's over. Feel free at any point because really it just gets them fired up. All 3 of these pieces do have a repeated solo section, and one of the things that I really challenge this group to do is, yes, they do have written music that they're going to be reading, but the solo sections, I actually made them write their own. So every solo that you're going to hear on stage tonight for this group, they wrote that music, learned it themselves. So it's super fun. So I will not be doing a solo because this isn't about me, okay? I've had my time. I've moved on. This is about them, okay? So it's about them, not me. They're like, you should have one too. No, it's already a long concert anyway. It's okay. So speaking of long concert, I'm going to stop rambling and we're going to play some music. I gotta get my instrument first. Hold on. So, joining us, we have Nikki on keyboard, and we have Gwen joining us on One, two, 3. band here with probably the biggest group of all of them of the three. This is Pyramid Power. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They're doing the thing. Okay. We're a very well organized group, I promise you. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3. because we have a state assessment that we do like everything else, right? We have assessments for things. We do in fact have a band state assessment that we go to. It's hosted at Castle High School, and they bring in state appointed judges, which are just people like me that have done what I do longer than what I have. So, and then we get judged and all that stuff. So our concert band actually got all gold ratings from every single judge that they had. So that was fantastic. And this piece came about because one of our pieces that we didn't have any percussion at all. Okay, and so if you know anything about percussionists, and I mean this in total offense of any percussionists out here, percussion sections, they all seem to share a single collective brain cell. Okay, so whenever they don't have something to do, it's a dangerous time in the band. Okay, it is the lay of. That's right. Yeah. So we have the trade-off was we would do this piece that didn't have percussion. But when we would work on that piece, I'd send them across the hall or across the wall to the choir room because that was the choir director's prep period. So I figured, why not interrupt her time with percussionists? So she was nice enough to let us use her room, and when we would work on our piece with no percussion, they would go over and slam, bang, crash stuff. So the piece that they have is called Chaos Supreme, which is fitting for any percussion section. And I have had very little to do with this piece outside of buying it and saying, good luck, go. I think I stayed over and listened to them one time after school, helped them out for about 30 minutes. Outside of that, it's all them. So are we about set? Probably, maybe, yeah, perfect. All right, so this is our last minute addition, Heritage Hills Percussion Ensemble with Chaos Supreme.
It's really one only flag.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are about ready for our final group of the evening. This is the Heritage Hills High School Band on stage. Not as large as the middle school, but the plan is hopefully, fingers crossed, we sound better as we should because we're older and more seasoned, right? So, I didn't forget, this is the first concert. I got all of them in the same night. Ladies and gents, stand down. Stand up for your wonderful picture. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the first 2 rows, sit down. First 2 rows. I heard from a spectator we couldn't see the 3rd row. There we go. It was probably for Cohen. No one could see Cohen. All right, everyone have a seat. All right, so we've got 4, 5, I can count. We have 5 pieces for you guys tonight, and I promise to talk as little as possible because, concerts. Yes, absolutely. I feel your pain. If anything, we should all apologize to my wife. She has to deal with me every day. Okay, so coming up first, we've got a funny word here, fanfare esprit. Then we have sea songs, and then we slow it down for A Place Like Home, not to be confused with Spider-Man. And then we have a really loud piece that was suggested by a student called Witch and the Saint. And then we are closing out the concert with our big piece from our state assessment, Mount Everest. So, hope you enjoy them. And again, I will keep this to a minimum in between, as long as percussion takes. Here we go. Piece 1. right, as percussion is switching over for C-Songs, C-Songs is a little bit different from everything else in our program, as in it is the only one that was written literally like 200 years old or something. So it is what we call in the professional world vintage. Okay? It's a classic piece. It has been performed by literal thousands of groups. If we have any long-term band people in here, this might be something that you might recognize. And it is just a classic piece of band literature, and honestly, something that I probably should do more of are just older things like this, because there are lots of great things that we can learn technically on our instrument from pieces like this. So, hope you enjoy C-Songs. to switch gears a little bit. We've had fast and high energy. We're going to dial it back a little bit. And this piece is a very new piece. It just came out actually in the last calendar year. It's called A Place Like Home. And the idea behind it is that, to quote one of the greatest movies of all time, You're Allowed to Be Wrong, Happy Gilmore, you find your happy place, right? So this is about finding that place and having those nostalgic feelings of the things that just make you feel good. So here we go. See, we surprise ourselves sometimes. We can play slow and pretty. How about that? Nice job, guys. All right. So it made sense in my brain, the next piece, to go directly after that one, because this is called The Witch and the Saint. And this is more of a story piece here. And it tells the story of two twins, and you'll hear two different melodies. One is a nice melody, and one is a not so nice melody. And this is, we all remember history class and the Salem witch trials, etc., etc. Long story short, you'll hear at the end, this turns out to be where one sister is a witch that eventually gets burned at the stake, and the other one is a saint that survives and does saint things. Okay? So, yeah, I don't know why, but it just seemed the right place in the program to put it here. So, hope you enjoy Witch and the Saint. Sorry, I forgot I was right-handed for a second. All right. So we're going to take just a few moments here to recognize a few very special people. These are our seniors. So these people have put in, most of them, 5, 6, 7 years into this program. And it's been absolutely incredible to see how much we have grown with their help and leadership. These are wonderful human beings, and I'm excited to see where they go in the future. So we do have a few. So if you don't mind, I'll hold your applause to the end. And I'm going to go in alphabetical order. And if I miss you, please yell at me. Okay? I highlighted them. So we have Austin Adkins. Stand, please. Gwendolyn Gumbel. Lila Grippenstraw. Bailey Kramer. Lindsay Lochner. Kaylin Murray. Tyler Richardson, Margaret Walters, and Kai White. These are our seniors for this year. Please give them a round of applause. So, it goes without saying, thank you for all your hard work and dedication that you've given to us. And I hope that you've had a fraction of the amount of fun that I've had teaching you. Thank you. Have a seat. All right. And on to the last piece. This is Mount Everest by one of my favorite composers, Rosano Galante. He's got a very unique style of writing. I'm a sucker for big chords. I can't help it. I'm sappy sometimes. Don't let them know, though. So, we're going to close out the concert with the piece that earned us our gold rating at State Assessment, Mount Everest. last thing, and then I'll let you go. First of all, thank you guys for coming out and supporting the band. I know this end of the year concert is an absolute marathon. Thank you for sticking through with us. I hope that it was worth it. We had a blast, and it wouldn't be a Dawson concert without me taking a moment just to first and foremost saying thank you to you guys and thank you to our administration that supports our arts programs. I've seen some kind of in and out. We got some administrators back and forth between this and another event. So if you see some administrators, tell them thank you for supporting the arts, and of course you guys, thank you for letting me put up with your kids that drop stuff. So have a wonderful end of the school year, a wonderful summer. If I don't see some of you, reminder that we have our band awards banquet next Thursday, and then all that good stuff. If you are a marching band parent for this upcoming season, you did get a link sent to you, just our information collection that we use for our trips and stuff, just to make life a little bit easier. Check that out. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. It's been wonderful playing for you guys, and thank you very much. Have a great, wonderful week.